Part 1 Mind Center for Spiritual Living. Sunday service. Welcome, Jesse Powers.
Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. This song's on my heart. And it's just about wanting that real thing. And not settling for anything less. I want something real. Something I can feel in my bones. Something that feels true. And it's you. It's you. I want something honest, something I was promised a long, long time ago. And I've lived out the fairy tales of youth. Now all I want is you. Something I would surrender to, and it's you. It's you. I need you. Everybody, if you want to join in with me, I need you. Call into that highest self to come in right now. And I want you, like yearning for a lover. I need you. I want you. I want you. Call it in. Call it into your body. I need you. I want you. And your love is and your light is endless. Something I'd surrender to, and it's you. I need you. Let's do it a few more times. Letting that feeling just sink in. I want you. I need
Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
A calling in. I love that. Thank you for that. So I'd like to welcome our practitioner of the day, Jean Pirkl, who's going to do our opening prayer.
Yeah, good morning.
Welcome, Jean. Good morning.
So good to see everybody. Let's prepare ourselves to go into prayer by taking in a nice, deep, settling breath. And if you're called to do so, close your eyes or lower your gaze. So what I know is that there is one. There's one spiritual magnificence. There's one life force flowing through each and every one. That is love, joy, freedom, and it is so much more. It is every dimension, every depth of our being, and it is always in tune with the power that created us. The creator and the creation are one. What I claim for each and every one is that we are noticing the good. We are experiencing the goodness in our lives, that each and every one is open to and allowing the flow of abundance to enrich our lives. And I know that this is true for our center as well. We have gifts to give. This is our playground and our place to participate in that flow of living a full, abundant life, to give and to receive. And I'm so grateful for this Sunday service, to be with this spiritual community, for Rev Michelle and the power of the words that move through her, and to be blessed with the beautiful instrument and energetic beingness of Jessie Powers. And so it is. So I don't know if you've noticed, but we've kind of taken on, the practitioners have taken on a little bit of a different slant at the very beginning to open the service. We're asked to kind of contribute a story that's relevant to the topic. And I actually found a reading this morning that I'd like to exchange for that. And it's out of Unity, but it's called Prosperity. It says, with God as my source, I live abundantly. So no matter how much I have in the bank, the kind of car I drive, or the house I live in, I know these things are mere manifestations of abundance, the source of all prosperity of God. I look beyond appearances to find a deeper meaning of prosperity, meaningful work that I enjoy doing a part of my prosperity, not only because of what I earn, but because of the satisfaction I glean and I feel when I get to use my skills. My house becomes a home, and when filled with people I love and care for, it's very fulfilling. And my financial resources don't diminish, but multiply when I share them generously. And as I look beyond the good things in my life to the love, the creative insight, and the limitless flow of the divine ideas that brought them into manifestation, that's where I discover true abundance. So I thought that related to spiritual currency and money, and which is what we're talking about today.
It absolutely does, and it was beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
So if you want to read the
Yeah.
affirmation.
Hang on just a second. I'll get it right up here.
Great.
Can you see it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So today I rise above circumstances. I draw my awareness to the present moment, free of judgment, opinion, or expectation. In everything I see an underlying perfect unity. I live in a consciousness of love, peace, and gratitude. In this way, I consciously co-create my life. And so it is.
Beautiful. Thank you. Jessie, you have more music for us?
I sure do. I am the peace. I am the peace. Sweetness and relief. I am And all I ever wanted was this peace. And all I ever wanted was me. All I ever wanted was this peace. All I ever wanted was me. Sing with me. I am the peace. I am the peace. Sweetness and relief. I am peace. And all I ever wanted was this peace. And all I ever wanted was me. I am peace. I am peace. Let's just say that. I am peace. I am peace.
Woo! Thank you, Jesse. That was very much like our meditation this morning. Oh, it was beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh, and so good morning and welcome to the online community and to our Sunday service of One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And as always, we just ask you to be what Ernest Holmes, our founder, asked us to be: open at the top, but just open-minded and ready to hear something either in a new way or something that you really hadn't heard before. You know what I mean? Take what fills you up. So as Jean said, this morning we're continuing with our monthly theme of financial prosperity. Specifically, we're looking at the flow of money in our lives. It's a big deal. It touches so many different parts of our life. Last week I focused mainly on the idea of money as a tool to express the energy of life in and through all of our human activities. And I talked a bit about how our beliefs about money influence our relationship with money. For example, if we focus on the idea of money as being in limited supply, then that will be our experience. But if we see money as infinite supply flowing from spirit through many different human channels, then we'll stand in the flow of that infinite supply, just like everything else we need in our human lives. Again, our founder, Ernest Holmes, told us that money is a symbol of an eternal substance that continually flows in, forever demonstrating itself into visible form. Like money, like everything else, begins as an idea in the mind of God. Everything begins in this idea, this consciousness, this oneness, this life consciousness. And through the activity of creative law, it becomes our experience, which means because we share the same mind of God, we are empowered to influence either the restriction or the abundant flow of money in and through our lives, through our beliefs. What do we think about money? How do we feel about money? Our beliefs define how we experience money, how we experience financial prosperity in our lives. And as metaphysicians, we understand that our beliefs create our experience in this physical form. And as metaphysicians, we understand that if we are these clear conduits, or let's call them, we are clear channels for the divine flow of supply, then money will flow in our lives easily and naturally and show up as good in all areas of our lives. But if our channel is kind of clogged up with a bunch of debris, with beliefs that block the flow of good to us, well, then we'll experience poverty and lack and limitation. Which means, and I think this is a really important point, that our work is always within our subconscious beliefs. We have our conscious thought, which navigates us through our day, which becomes, after the pattern of thinking and feeling repeats itself, what we believe in our subconscious minds. So our job, our work is clearing out the old and often untrue beliefs that are driving the creative process, the creative law through us. And as much as we'd like to, we can't just pretend that they aren't there, because they will drive our lives. We have to bring them out into the light of truth in order to release them. I remember reading that Louise Hay said, "You can't clean your house if you can't see the dirt." And we don't have to wallow around in the dirt. Just see it and clean it up. We replace the dirt by aligning with the divine truth that's already within us. There is no lack of divine substance. And as I was preparing, I always run across all these beautiful quotes by different people. And one of the ones that I ran across was by Joseph Campbell. And he said that, I love this word. He said that money is congealed energy. And I think of Jell-O. It's congealed, it's become solid, but it's just energy. And he said, and releasing it releases all life's possibilities. So let's talk about how we can clean our house, how we can see the dirt and give it a good clean sweep. As I said last week, all the things we need to function in our human lives, of all the things we need to function in our human life, money is probably the one thing that is the most emotionally charged. I mean, think about how emotionally charged money can be in our lives. Think of all the things we've grown up hearing about money. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for your money. Money's the root of all evil. There's never enough money. Or I love this one. Spiritual people don't have a lot of money. It's more spiritual to be poor. That's a real crazy one. And just think about all the crimes that are committed and the wars that have been fought over the idea and the possession of money, believing that money is somehow the source of power and love and happiness and comfort. It's not. Rather than money is just a symbol or a representation in human form or in physical form of all these things. And so I really believe, and for me, I really think this is true, that this is where we must focus our work. This is where we work, around what we truly believe about money. Not what we say we believe about money, but what we really believe about money. Not what we say we believe, but what has been written on our subconscious mind that's driving our experience with money in our life. And that can be conscious or unconscious. These conscious or unconscious patterns of thinking and feeling and behaving around money, that's where we're charged to do our work. And it's like anything else, but like I said, money is one of those things that there's a lot of energy around. So I read this one great little tool that I wanted to share for remembering how important it is to be aware of how we think, feel, and handle money. And it's using a dollar bill to remind us to stay aware of where our supply actually comes from, to kind of spiritualize money, if you will. So I know that we don't always use paper money anymore, but if you do, I generally have something in my wallet. I usually have $1 or $2. But if you do, on one side of the dollar bill, we have a picture of George Washington, right? And on the other side of the dollar bill, we have the words, "In God we trust." Two sides, same bill. And we can think of the Washington side, nothing against George Washington here, as the secular side, and the In God We Trust side as the spiritual side. And when we use a dollar bill as a tool for spiritualizing our relationship with money, we can take the bill. Whenever we're handling a bill, we can empower ourselves by asking, what do I really believe about the source of this money? And we can take it and turn it to the In God We Trust side to remind us that Spirit, God, the all that is the substance. Remember last week I talked about how Butterworth used substance because substance means to stand under. Well, God is standing under all money, all financial prosperity. And the In God We Trust on the one side of the bill can spiritualize the idea for us that divine substance is represented in our financial life and our supply, just like everything else we need in our lives. And you know, when you're handling money, before you put it in your pocket or wallet, I often just kind of stick things in my pocket. Turn up the side that says In God We Trust. You know, it's a way of kind of consciously recognizing that we're participating in the activity of abundant circulation, the abundant circulation of life energy, you know, giving and receiving blessings, standing in the flow of the life energy that is expressed as money. And this is just one of the little things that we can do to kind of remind us as we walk through our day to pay attention to our relationship with money and to shift our thinking from, oh, there's only so much, or can I afford that, to I live in an abundant universe with an abundant supply of everything I need. It's just those little things that can make all the difference. And once we tell ourselves that, you know, repetition is magic. Once we think something in our conscious mind over and over and over, it becomes a pattern of thinking and feeling, and it is a new idea written in our subconscious or our subjective mind. You know, so let's be perfectly honest here. Our experience as human beings is really kind of divided into two realities. You know, don't get me wrong, there's only one life. You know, what do we say? There's only one life. That life is God's life, and that life is my life now. Everything happens within the activity of God. But as human beings, we kind of experience life in two different ways. You know, we experience this physical reality, the things that we see and taste and feel and smell. And in this reality, things are impermanent. They change all the time. They grow and they die. They're replaced. Change is inevitable in the physical world. But we now know, through our knowledge of quantum physics, that this world is not what it appears to be. It's actually just energy, congealed. I love that word. Thank you, Joseph Campbell. That energy is congealed or solidified into objects that look like they have form and density and size. And all the while, they're really just a mass of moving particles. They are effects expressed from the invisible reality. So let's look at that. We also, as human beings, are connected to and have our experience of this invisible reality. Let's call it the metaphysical reality. We are always connected to this realm that lives beyond the physical realm. You know, and in this realm, energy hasn't congealed or solidified yet. It's still undifferentiated. It's free flowing and unbound. And whatever exists here is kind of intangible and can't be measured by physical means. And this is the realm that philosophers call pure ideas, what we as metaphysicians call the mind of God. You know, and they exist as waves of potential and possibility in this realm of a God consciousness, undifferentiated potential. Here we are, and we're always connected to it, and we're always living in it and sourced by it. We interact with it all the time. You know, sometimes we're not even aware of it. You know, This is the realm that Butterworth said divine substance is from, or is. And as I said earlier, substance comes from that word, that Latin word that means to stand under. So everything that we experience in our physical world comes from the metaphysical or invisible world, and it stands under our physical reality. And, we experience this metaphysical or invisible world all the time. And in ways that, sometimes we don't even think about. We become so accustomed to them. We don't even always notice. Have you ever just out of the blue thought of a song that you really like, and then you get in the car or go in a store somewhere and it's playing? Or have you ever just thought of someone out of the blue and then they just happen to call, or you just happen to run into them? Or have you ever just had that gut feeling that you should go home by a different route, and then you find out that there was a bad accident on the usual route? Or, this has happened to me. Have you accidentally spilled your morning coffee and now you're convinced the rest of the day is going to be horrible, and then you just spiral down because your thoughts are just kind of perpetuating each other? We're always connected to and creating from this God realm, this mind of God, the metaphysical realm. And we might be tempted to call these things coincidence or good luck or bad luck. But to empower our human lives, we have to consciously engage with this realm of being, with this consciousness of God. This is where the life energy of God lives. And we have to silence our doubts and the doubts of all those around us. Silence that fear of being too woo-woo. I remember that was always, I don't want to look too woo-woo. And understand that all things emerge, all things are expressed from, all things are created from this metaphysical realm. And in all honesty, we don't completely understand all the nuances of how these two realms interact, but we know they do. We have a pretty good idea. We're discovering more and more about how they interact, but we don't know exactly. And you know what? We don't have to. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we don't know what we don't know, but we know and feel that there is a connection and an interaction between our experience of this God realm, this metaphysical world, and our physical world. And it is in the faith and the trust that we nurture and cultivate and develop around this mind of God, this connection with the loving presence of the divine, that will express our good in the physical world. And we're empowered to stand in its flow because we are one with it. As I always do when I'm preparing my message, I look on my bookshelf, and I have quite an extensive library actually that I use a lot. And I look to see if there's anything that looks interesting for the topic that we're talking about. And this week I pulled off a book off my bookshelf. It's called The Energy of Money. It's by a woman named Maria Nemeth. And I've had it for years, and honestly, I've never read the whole thing, but the title just rang true to me. So I pulled it off and I started going through looking for little gems and little things to pique my interest. And I found in one chapter something I wanted to share with you. Nemeth speaks exactly to this issue about where we really have to do our work in the interaction between these two worlds. If we want to create a meaningful and a fulfilling life where all our human needs are met, we have to engage with that interaction between the two worlds, and it's centered in how we think and we behave and the state of being that we create. But anyway, she calls this place where these two worlds collide, if you will, trouble at the border. She calls it trouble at the border. And she said that it's all about how we navigate the border between the metaphysical and the physical worlds. And she says that trouble at the border is inevitable. I think she's right, because it takes some awareness, it takes some work, it takes some conscious effort to manage our thoughts and our feelings and our state of being, which become the stage on which we live our life, the foundation that we move through our world. You know, we are fed all this stuff from all around us, our culture, from things we learned as children and we're raised up from, and they will come bubbling up to the surface. We've created those habits and patterns. So to change that into something that will really feed us and support us, we have to really look at the trouble at the border. So I'm going to use that. All right, is there trouble at the border? I'm going to keep my eye on that. So here's where I believe that our work as human beings must be centered, and growth happens through trial and error, and then getting up and doing it again. What is that? How many times did Edison fail at making a light bulb? Thousands. You know? I've always interpreted that line. I love this line, actually, in the Lord's Prayer. If you grew up in any Christian denomination, you've heard it. In the Lord's Prayer, it's lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And I've always interpreted that since I became a metaphysician, always interpreted that line to mean, do not let me be tempted to believe that the physical world has any power over me. Do not let me be tempted into believing that I am at the mercy of the physical world in any way. What was it? Another thing Butterworth said is, this too shall pass. Everything in physical form is impermanent and changeable. You know, the God stuff in the metaphysical world is constant and infinite, and we can use it to demonstrate all we need in physical form. Just got to pay attention to what's happening at the border. And, you know, I think it might be helpful for us to become aware of this metaphysical reality and the source of our physical reality by taking a look at a couple of the myths that are big and that are common in our culture around money. And one of them I actually already spoke briefly too, and that's the idea that all spiritual teachers were poor. You know, that somehow money is not a spiritual thing. I never really heard that directly as a young Christian girl and Catholic girl, but it was always kind of implied. You know, and I think Jesus is a classic example in our culture. You know, when I was a kid, I always thought of Jesus wandering around the country in rags, you know, talking about his Father in heaven. But I always saw him as kind of poor. But really, all evidence is to the contrary. Jesus wasn't poor. You know, the story in Luke has him being born in humble circumstances, right? But that was because there was no room at the inn, not because his parents were poor. You know, you don't want to try and check into the inn if you don't have any money to check into the inn. You know, and in Matthew, the birth story has him in the house in Bethlehem where Mary lived, where the Magi brought gifts. And what was the first gift they brought? Gold to fund his ministry. And somewhere in the Bible, it says that he wore a seamless robe. And he was supported by women to whom he preached. A lot of the women supported him. Nowhere does it say that he couldn't afford something. You know, there's that famous quote about it being hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven, which of course we know is within. But that was a comment about our attachment to wealth and status, not about having wealth and status. You know, how many stories have we heard about, or how many stories are there of Jesus in the Bible where he's at some party? He's always drinking wine and eating really well. You know, all Jesus's needs were supplied. He wasn't poor. He couldn't have been poor. He wouldn't have been able to do what he did. You know, the Buddha was wealthy. He rejected both extreme wealth and extreme poverty, and he spoke about the middle way, about living a modest, humble life, but not poor. Muhammad was a wealthy trader, and he married a rich widow. Lao Tzu was a respected government official with no indication that he was poor. Abraham, Joseph, Jacob, Moses, they were all well off. It's time for us to kind of let go of that myth that we may have internalized at some point in our lives, that spiritual leaders or good people are poor, or we can only give from our wealth, not our lack. You know, I think about Mother Teresa. We always think of her as dealing with the poor, but she ran this multi-million-dollar corporation so that she could help people. Spirituality does not mean you have to be poor. On the contrary. I read this great story about a woman who was shopping, and she saw this dress in this consignment shop that she knew that her granddaughter would just really love, but her money was tight. So she asked the store owner if she could hold it for her. And another customer just happened to overhear her, and she asked, "Hey, may I buy that dress for you?" And the woman said, "Oh, thank you, but I can't accept such a generous gift." And the woman who offered to buy the dress told the woman why it was so important for her to help her to buy the dress for her. And she said she'd been homeless for 3 years. And if it hadn't have been for the kindness of strangers, she wouldn't have been able to survive. And then she said that now she's no longer homeless. And when her situation improved, she promised herself that she would repay the kindness that so many people showed her. So she paid for the dress, and the only payment she took was a grateful hug. But here's the thing, she would not have been able to buy the dress for this woman if she had still been homeless and poor. Poverty isn't spiritual. You know, another myth that kind of is prevalent in our culture is, and in our subconscious minds as well, is that it surrounds debt and loss. You know, within infinite oneness, infinite supply and substance, there cannot be debt or loss. Debt occurs, you know, when we agree to pay for something over time in a consciousness of trust of the flow of money, of that life energy of money flowing in and through our lives. Or we can also create debt in a consciousness of fear and a belief that the universe won't supply our needs. You know, and ultimately, here's the thing, God can't owe itself anything. You know, there is only infinite abundance. And most of us have debt of something, of some kind. I have a mortgage, but that is the kind of debt that trusts the flow of good to be moving in and through my life. You know, not the kind of debt that creates problems from a consciousness of lack and a distrust of myself and a distrust of universal flow. Loss comes when we believe money is ours and there's only a limited supply coming from certain channels. When we let go of that idea of that we possess money and realize that money is just a symbol of the flow of life energy, of real wealth, of universal substance, and then it comes in. Some stays, some goes out. We let go of our death grip of money and we let it flow. You know, we may experience what in human terms we call loss, but nothing is ever lost in the universe. You know, if we put a claim into the universe to supply us with the amount that we think we lost or more and stay open to the floor, it's going to show up. That's just how the law works. It's going to flow in. You know, money's just a form of life energy, God stuff. We don't need to feel ashamed about our interaction with it, whatever it's been up until now. You can change it right now. We only have to recognize that we live in the constant flow of divine substance and in all its many forms. It's not our wealth. We just use it. Just like everything else that we use in our human lives. What do they say? You can't take it with you because everything in form is transitory and changing and impermanent. What is real lasts. What is real lasts. We're blessed to use the things we use, money, in our human lives to create these meaningful and purposeful and beneficial lives for ourselves and for others. We're blessed to have what we have, but it moves and it flows. So my invitation to you this week is to become aware of your thoughts about money, you know, as you handle it. Notice if you hear the old myths playing in your head. Look out for trouble on the border between your metaphysical life and your physical reality. And just as well as you can, release the old beliefs and replace them with friendly, supportive, expansive thoughts about the nature of supply, about the nature of substance, about what real wealth is, and let it be a blessing in your life that flows easily and effortlessly. So let's pray. Let's take a nice deep centering breath in. Coming into that space that knows that all there is God. All there is divine substance. All there is the energy of life. And within this activity of the divine, everything exists. And so do we. So I speak my word for and about everyone that is on this call and everyone that is not, that there is a shift. There is perfection on the border. Where that interface between our metaphysical invisible life and our physical human lives come together, that there is an easy flow and an effortless supply from this divine substance that supports us, that supports everything and everyone we touch. It supports the atmosphere and the consciousness of human life on the planet, in which love, compassion, friendship, abundance, prosperity flows easily, effortlessly, freely, and is such a blessing. So I just give great thanks for this. I know that all is well. And I know that as I speak these words, they're already on their way into demonstration, because that's just how creative law works. So as I relax in knowing that I have done my work, I just now release it and let God do God's work. And together we signify our agreement by saying, and so it is. And so it is. Woohoo! I love that idea of trouble on the border. Right? That's brilliant. Isn't that what we have? We have trouble on the border. The interface between our God life and our human life. Well, I don't want any more trouble on the border. So let's see. I believe that it is Lisa. She's waving me down. There we go. She is doing our conscious giving today.
Yes. Well, keeping in mind this whole concept of the abundant connection and the power that is behind all of our substance, I urge you to practice the law of circulation by making a gift to One Heart, One Mind. And the best way to do that is with the Venmo mobile app that you send to OHOM Center. Or you can mail a check to our assistant treasurer, Jim, and the address for that is in the chat. And as you're doing that donation, you might also want to be thinking about adding the unexpected income donation that a lot of folks are really enjoying, paying attention to actually where gifts that were not expected come in relationship to refunds, to unexpected work things. At any rate, it's a fun thing to pay attention to and a good way to be part of a fundraising for our center. And so perhaps we can share our sacred giving statement. Everything flows from the nature of God's good. We receive from this flow. We give from this flow. We give in gratitude and in love. We have faith in the infinite giving nature of spirit. And so it is.
Thank you, Lisa. It was
Yep.
beautiful. Thanks so much. I believe that it is time for Yvonne to give us our announcements. Thank you, Yvonne.
Sure. I don't have very many, which is good. You don't have to listen very long. Then you can turn your ears off for a minute, just a minute. Monday evening prayer group is from 6 to 6:20. And please join us. And while we silently pray for One Heart, One Mind Center, it leads to wonderful energy in our center. and deeper friendships with other members. Tuesday evening, spiritual learning from 6 to 7. We're starting something new. We'll be having a discussion and practice presented in the book Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And the class is open to anyone who would like to be there. And I just wanted to remind you of our kindness fund and our music fund, and anything else you would like to support in our center. You're willing and able to do that. We will take your money. And the unexpected income fundraiser is still going on. I was happy that that Lisa, you mentioned it, because we're having such a good time with it, and we've actually hit approximately $1,500 that is to our benefit. And I don't know the exact numbers because the dates are different when we do our accounting, and but it's something like that. And you have to remember to watch for unexpected income, because it can sneak up on you. Like where I live here, they have some program that's put on by another church that gives people free food. And so I went with another woman to the free food thing to help her figure out how it all works. And what's interesting was I got a couple of things. When I got home, I thought, oh my gosh, that would be so easy for me to pass up, to forget that was unexpected income. And it's fun to do it. And you think, oh, I've got to tithe 10%, but sometimes 10% is $2. But it all builds up. So I think that's everything I have to say.
I do think that we want to start telling people that on November 20th, we are going to have our first truly hybrid in-person and online service. And we'll be giving you more details about that. It's going to be in Escondido, and it's kind of, what would you say, Jean, northwest Escondido?
Yeah, right.
And we'll have more details for you, but we're going to make it kind of a Thanksgiving celebration, and because it'll be the Sunday just before Thanksgiving, and we'll still have, I think, Jesse, I think you're the musician that day, so you'll still be playing for us from far away, but we'll all be, well, not all of us, but several of us will be together. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And then the interfaith service with Rabbi David Laszlo and his community there, which I know Relaine is a part of. We're going to do an interfaith service together on December 3rd, which is a Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and there'll be more details about that as well. So just a couple of heads up, save the dates things. All right, Jean, would you like to do our benediction, and then we'll have Jesse give us our final song.
I think that's Lisa.
Oh, I'm sorry. What am I thinking? You're the practitioner of the day. Lisa, go for it.
Okay, well, let's pull together and have a nice deep centering breath as we express our gratitude for this wonderful service with the beautiful music of Jesse and the wonderful channeling of the words we need to hear from Reverend Michelle, and the prayers of Jeannie, and just being together and knowing that as a community, we are all working together to bring spirit to earth, so to speak, and to be able to really pay attention to the trouble at the border so that we are able to merge the invisible with the visible to really create peace on earth. And so I release my word with great thanksgiving by saying, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Lisa. All right, Jesse.
All right. It just so happens that I have a money song. It's so fun. Here we go. I have a drum, which I never play. No more worry, no more doubt. I know Spirit's got it all figured out. No more struggle, no spirit's gonna set me up right. Money flows through me, money flows from me. I am abundant, I am free. Money flows through me, money flows from me. I am abundant, I am free. I am free, I am free, I am free. Spirit's taking care of me. No more worry, no more doubt. I know Spirit's got it all figured out. No more struggle, no more strife. I know Spirit's gonna set me up right. Repeat after me, ready? Money flows through me, money flows through me, money flows from me, money flows from me. I am abundant, I am free. Money flows through me, money flows from me. I am abundant, I am free. Let's do it again. Money flows through me, money flows from me. I am abundant, I am free. One more time. Money flows through me, money flows from me. I am abundant, I am free. I love money.
Oh, that was great. I love it. Money flows through me. Yeah, I think, of all the things I have to, well, I can only speak for myself, but of all the things that have been up until now, have been a challenge for me to shift my thinking around is probably money. I don't know how it is with the rest of you, but we're so inundated culturally from, there's only so much, but